What is up, guys? In this video, we're going to talk about the overruling of Roe vs. Wade, the implications it's going to have, the cause and effect, our thoughts on it, and much more. Let's get into it. Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We get you on the grind and improve your mind. So, in this video, it's a very heavy topic right now. The world is losing its mind. The world has gone mad. Everyone is losing their mind, especially even at our jobs in real life. It is affecting us. We're hearing it everywhere. It is only natural that we do a video on this, because we talk about all these sorts of things. And this subject is sort of, it relates to a lot of things that we talk about on this channel. It relates to the mindset. It goes over the emotional stability of people that we're seeing in the streets right now. It talks about, logical thinking, when it comes to the government and everything, which we actually talk about on this channel, as well as healthy well-being, which this is going to affect many of them. So it's only natural that we talk about this topic.
I want to just put this out there in the beginning of this video, just so if anything you get from this is something, at least I'm saying it now and rather than later. Roe vs. Wade, the overturning of it, it affects women on a grand scale, and we don't want to put that in a little corner. It's completely understandable, and it's pretty much what everyone knows. This is public knowledge, and so everyone knows that this is affecting women. And we don't want to, when we start talking, we don't want anyone that watch this video think that we're not thinking about that. No, we already do, and it's already something that everyone knows, and so we don't want to continue just having the light on that, even though it deserves it. It does deserve it, but we also want to talk about other topics that are within this grand topic that we're talking about here. We understand that this hurts women. It does, and we're not. And we don't want anyone to think that we're throwing shade on that, because everyone should know, and it's public knowledge that is what's happening. But we have other things that we also want to bring to light and to put together into this and compile it with that, and because all of it comes together in the end, and so we just want to put that out in the first place.
Yeah, I guess the first questions on anyone's mind would be, what do you guys think about it? Do you agree with it or disagree with it? I'm sort of somewhere in the middle. I cannot say I can't say I agree with it, but I can't say I disagree with it, because there are different things that go into the dynamic, and it takes a lot of brain power to really logically think about all the factors that go in. For example, what overturning Roe v. Wade does, right, from a government perspective, it gives the power back to the states. Now, that's something the 10th Amendment also says, which says the state should have the power to give its people certain law-making decisions. And so technically it does align with the Constitution, like the 10th Amendment. Now, of course, when, there's that, but there's also the aspect, right, of the modern world that we live in, because obviously things have changed to a great degree compared to when the 10 amendments were written in the 1700s. Things have changed drastically, so some could make the argument that it is outdated and times have changed. I could see that point, so I can't really disagree with that one. But there are certain things in the government that it makes sense for, and so when it comes to a topic like abortion, it's very slip and slide, because, I come from a very individual perspective. I don't like the government controlling things either, because, if you think about it, I'm someone who engages in casual sex. I think I've made that clear in other videos. So, technically, it would affect me more than someone like Mike. We're in New Jersey, so New Jersey doesn't really affect, because New Jersey allows abortions anyway. Yeah. So we're not in one of those states, at least yet, that really pays attention to that. But there are other states that do. Mike's in a committed relationship, so he really has nothing to worry about. Him and his, fiance, they have a, specific way they want to live their life, and he's not accidentally impregnating her, so there's no problems with that anyway. But, and then me, I'm in New Jersey, but I always wear protection. I've always had that, I try to stay very safe. But there are states out there now that will outlaw that, and I think that's what all the protests are for. That's what the girls will say, or the guys will say. They'll say, well, I'm not fighting for my state, I'm fighting for others out there, which makes sense. The sisterhood is very strong these days, and it makes sense that all these protests are going on. But I do see where the government would make this decision from. I do understand that. I think there are certain cases in which abortion would need to happen, such as Mike and I were talking about this earlier. If the baby's in the womb, it's causing problems. Like if it's the woman with the baby, one of them has to die because like it's like a malfunction of the birth. I'm not
Yeah.
really sure. I'm not a scientist. You know, when it comes to that. So I think there are certain situations in
Yeah.
which you have
And
to.
also like rape or stuff like that.
Although we
Like
do have to
incest,
point out, yeah,
shit like that.
but that we do have to point out from a statistical standpoint, that's only 2% of all abortions. Most abortions come from voluntary reasons, like oh I couldn't afford it, or I just didn't want to have a baby, or he's ugly and I just don't want his kids, so he's a genetic freak.
There's millions of different reasons.
Yeah.
And so I feel like the whole thing with Roe vs. Wade being overturned and giving it back to the states, I feel like everyone is freaking out, which everyone should. I don't think that should be taken away. But I also feel like people also need to bring back their emotions just a little bit and think about this logically. Because if the power goes back to the states, us as people have more power in changing things in the state-wise than we do country-wise. And so I feel that if everyone puts their focus, especially in the states where it's illegal, I feel like if they put more focus into trying to make it legal for their state, they probably actually can make it happen. If they put in all the energy that they're doing right now for these protests, but to do it within their physical states, they could probably get it done a lot easier than them just protesting it because that it was overturned. And so I feel like with the power being put back to the states, things can actually get changed through us as the citizens. Where I feel like with the government-wise, when it's a government-mandated thing, we don't really have much power over that. It's mostly just them and whoever is elite enough to really do anything and bribe people to really get it done. Us as, regular civilians, we don't have that much power government-wise, but we have a little bit more power when it's about our state and the state that we actually live in.
One thing we always talk about accountability on this channel. So one thing we want to relate to it is the power of accountability. So what we're talking about in this section of the video is the section of abortions that come from accidentally coming inside someone else or accidentally letting a man come inside you. Now, this part of the video, because not all percentages, obviously, but we're talking about a certain percentage of abortions here happen because of someone, a guy, accidentally coming inside of a woman, and that woman allowing that man to come inside of her without making him wear protection first. This is a reminder to you guys to take accountability for your actions and take accountability for your life. I know a lot of you don't want to hear it. Probably going to be the most controversial part of the video, but we need to start taking accountability for what goes in and out of our body. And this goes not for just women and not for just men. It comes from both. It takes two partners to make a baby, right? Both partners need to take accountability when they're having sexual intercourse. The man should wear, not just for STDs, but for pregnancy, for both. A man should be wearing a condom. I know it doesn't feel as good to wear one, but a man should wear protection when he's engaging, especially in casual sex. Or, the only time you really shouldn't is like maybe when you're getting married and you're planning on being with that woman long term. Then I think it's okay to like not wear a condom, but you should really need to stay safe these days. So as a man, you need to, the man comes first, because I think man needs to have more accountability because he's the man, he's a logical thinker out of the two. He's more the logical thinker, and he needs to take the first step and say, okay, I'm going to have sex with this woman. I need to make sure I bring a condom tonight just in case I'm going to have sex. You need to be prepared, and you could, I know condoms are not like 100%, but you're at least got to give yourself a fighting chance. Like if you're going to engage in like a sexual encounter, you should be wearing a condom. You should wear protection. Or if you really want to, you could get a vasectomy, I guess, even though it costs money. You can get a vasectomy. You could reverse it when you want, I believe. Like, if you really want to be a playboy out there, just go get a vasectomy, honestly. I'm thinking about it. I really am. Anyway.
Yeah, like, you're right. I feel like men especially need to take probably the most accountability because it's the stuff that's going into the woman that is where everything happens. So men need to know exactly like what Andrew was saying. Like, if I'm going to have sex with this woman and I don't plan on being with her long term, I need to be wearing some sort of protection to help me not make sure I get this woman pregnant, just so there is no need for an abortion or anything like that.
And if you're wearing a condom, you also need to, I know it sounds weird, but you need to use that pull-out game that you have somewhere in there. It's got to be strong, it's got to be tough. So even if you do wear a condom, you should still pull out, okay? Because myself, I always wear a condom. I've had sex with like over 100 women at this point. And I've always worn protection. I've never had a scare or anything. I never come inside anybody. I'm very good with that. So a lot of you guys need to really understand accountability when it comes to that. It's your sperm, and once it leaves your body, you have no control over it. So you need to take accountability first. Because when a woman is, like, when she's really into you, she'll be like, oh, come inside me. Like, oh, no. So don't fall for that shit. So you need to take the first step and take accountability for yourself. Do not be coming inside these women that you're not planning on being with long term and having a baby with, having a family with. So there's that. So you could prevent a lot of abortions by simply taking accountability. With this thing being overturned in some states, now you need to take more accountability than ever, because now in some states there are no backup plan. You need to actually take procedures seriously and consider what you're doing before you get into the bedroom. Or if you feel like you're just dumb as fuck and you're just mentally stupid and you can't wear a condom and you can't control where your cum goes, be celibate. Listen, there's a lot of guys on the internet that would welcome you into the club of being celibate, of being an incel, even though those don't really exist anyway, of being, just not having sex. You could just not have sex at all. Just don't even try. Why not? Why deal with women anyway, right? You could just become that. But if you're planning on actually having sex with women, you should wear protection and you should know where your cum is going into. And you don't want to be one of those idiot males that just come inside everybody. It's like, oh, I got her pregnant. Oops, sorry. No, that's why there's so many single moms right now, because a lot of you guys are just being dumb.
Yeah.
Fuck, and you don't even like these girls, but you come inside them anyway because you're just dumb. And you think with one brain, but your other brain shuts off.
Yeah.
So accountability is a big thing that comes. Now, when it comes to like 2 or 5% of situations that we talked about before, I don't really have too much to say on that because I don't really have a solution for that at the moment. I try to be a logical thinker, and I admit when I don't know, but unfortunately, the world can be crazy and it could be cruel sometimes, and sometimes GRAPE, like grape, things do happen, and there's weird incest. I don't get incest. I really just don't understand that. So there's that. That's just ugh. For the most part, like for the cases that we can control, you have to utilize in life what you can control, not what you can't. So we have to just be careful out here. Women too. Women, you need to know who you're having sex with. If the guy doesn't have a condom, maybe you should be like, hey, do you have a condom? And if he doesn't, no matter what, you should just not let him in. Because he's gonna come inside you, gonna have a big problem on your hands. You could also just buy a bunch of Plan Bs. I know it costs money, but if you have money, get some Plan Bs if you're planning on that dumb shit. So you need to take proper precaution when necessary. A lot of this stuff is, it's people going crazy because, they're saying women are now second-class citizens, and, I get that. These are crazy times we're living in for sure. As I said, I'm somewhere sort of in the middle. I cannot, I don't fully agree with it because I can't. I mean, my lifestyle literally involves me, like, having sex, so, like, it could be risky. If I was not in New Jersey, if I was in, like, Alabama, Mississippi or something, I'd probably be in a lot more trouble, and I'd be like, oh, crap, what do I do? But, we are in a state which we are grateful to be able to have abortions, and I think sometimes there are health measures that you do need to actually have it because, and let's face it, we're having another thing that people don't want to talk about. This is a big single mom epidemic right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. There's a lot of single moms out here, and I know that because I have sex with a lot of them.
Yeah, and it's due to the unaccountability of a lot of men that stupidly just come inside women and just not want to be a father. And
we're not talking about widows. That's an unfortunate, tragic situation. We're not talking about widows.
Yeah.
We're talking about
specifically guys who just who pretty much make the baby and then leave. Yeah. And then not.
So you guys have to understand the context in which we're saying things, so you don't get skewed and then make stupid videos about us. That'd be dumb.
Yeah.
But it really depends on like what situation, because I think every individual has a different situation. So to outlaw abortion completely, I think in some states could be wrong, because there really are certain situations in which you need to, it can't happen. And because due to health concerns, because we know we're always researching health stuff, and when people eat different foods, some people get fat easier than others. Everyone has a different thing with their body that so sometimes I think abortions are necessary and they do have to happen. So I think there should be laws that you could have abortion if XYZ. So I think there should be that, but it doesn't look like there are at the moment, and that I think is wrong. I think there are some times when you have to, but we really gotta stop having sex with people that we don't like. We really have to stop not using protection. Now, if the condom does fail and you don't pull out because you're dumb, I mean, there are some situations which you really got to be careful out there. But with the single mom epidemic that's going on out here, we need to be careful more than others. And it might be possible that in some states there might be more single moms now. Or they could just give them up for adoption as well. I mean, there's also that option. So you have to consider different things that you could do.
Yeah, and that whole system is awful, and it's only going to get worse now, especially in the states where where abortions are now outlawed. It's the system of orphanages and all those other things, adoption centers. It's going to be overrun with kids, most likely, because over time, at least, not right now, but in the future it will, because of all these things that are happening with the outlawing of abortions and these women that have to go through with term and birth the baby and then get rid of it because they can't either afford to have it or whatever it is, specifically whatever context of the situation, and they have to put it up for adoption and they just throw them into the system, and all those kids are going to be messed up kids because they have to go through this specific thing and they have to go through that system, and which is going to make the future of the world a lot worse because of these kids are not going to go through a life that's going to make them like feel fulfilled. They're just going to be sitting there with like no parents, with a whole bunch of kids that don't have parents, and hate the world, and a whole bunch of other things can go wrong in that specific situation.
Yeah, there are so many different individual situations that can come of this. Another thing is like a lot of people are like blame the patriarchy, and then now a lot of women are going to hate men even more so, great. But it's like you do realize that some of the supreme justices are women, so you can't exactly blame men for this, because women also voted for this to be overturned in the Supreme Court. So it's like, stop it. A lot of men don't even agree with Roe versus Wade being overturned anyway. So there's a lot of women out there like, oh, I'm not gonna have sex anymore. It's like, what are you talking about? Just have sex responsibly, at least. It's like drinking. Just do it responsibly. You don't need to not have sex with men. I just don't get that. Oh, that's just dumb. A lot of guys are also on your side. A lot of guys don't want abortions to be outlawed anyway because a lot of guys know they're dumb and stupid and they keep coming inside women. So they don't want it to be overturned either. So a lot of guys agree too. It's really, it can get very political really fast, and we wanted to give some basic insight and some basic thoughts to this thing because it really gets complicated depending on the certain individual and what everyone's going through. If I was a woman, I'd probably be a slut, right? So I'd probably be upset because I'd be probably sucking a bunch of dicks because I need money and I have OnlyFans. We've gone over that. Actually, I don't know. Maybe I'd be considerate as a woman. I don't know. But I'm pretty sure that I'd be like a little upset if I was a woman too. Because I guess, I don't know, I don't like being told what I can and can't do with my body. Because, but it's interesting because everybody was like, yeah, we got to make everybody get jabbed. Yeah, we got to make everybody get this shot, because of Corona. But a lot of you guys are like, oh, yeah, force people not to have abortions. Like, I think everyone should have the choice to do what they want. Because, I think everyone should choose if they want to get the jab because of Corona, right? My stance still stays on that. And I think people should choose that they really want to get an abortion. I'm all for personal choice. 'Cause I'm all about freedom. And what good is freedom if you can't have the choice to do something, right? Don't get me wrong. I don't like killing babies or anything like that. But I do realize, if there is a mistake and like maybe it's like a couple weeks in and you can't afford a plan B or you forgot the plan B, I think sometimes you need to sort of get that abortion because some people, let's be honest. A lot of you guys out there, a lot of people out there, they're not ready to have kids. They're not mentally stable to have kids. They made a mistake by coming inside the other, and the girl allowed him to come inside of her. And a lot of these situations happen out of stupidity. And some people need to sort of get abortions because we already have a bunch of single moms out here. We already have a lot of idiots running the streets these days in America. So technically it would be made worse if abortion was illegal because then all these kids are going to grow up in like all of these horrible situations because all these parents are going to, because a kid should be growing up in a loving, caring household, and that's not going to happen if a baby is born when the parents didn't even want the baby, an actual mistake. No one wants to go through life knowing that their parents really wanted to abort them and then they had them anyway. Like, that's kind of a shitty way to live, in my opinion.
All in all, like, we stand with women that like this is like a terrible thing. But we also have to look at this more in a positive light in that we as a people together, both men and women, can fight in the specific states where it's outlawed, can make it legal again in the state-wise. We have to think about it more in a positive way. I know, I understand everyone wants to act emotional right now because that this is like a crazy thing. But we have to take a step back, breathe for a second, and see what we can do about the situation. And I feel like that's probably the best way, and is to pretty much fight in the state, pretty much in the state-wise, in every state that's outlawed. If you want it to be legal, that's the best way you can get it back, is by doing it through the state. And I feel like you have more power doing it through state than you do through the government, because the government will do whatever the hell they want, and they really don't care about citizen-wise. They only care about the people who try to represent them, and a lot of the people that try to represent them don't really care about their own citizens that they represent. So if we, as citizens within a state, like make enough noise, we can change things through state. It's happened before. It happens a lot.
Yeah,
and so you could do it.
I don't know if these protests are really going to do anything right now because I know a protest is going on at the making of this video. But I mean, I guess it'll be interesting to see what happens next. I mean, you know, what we try to do on this channel is we really try to logically think about these things that are going on in the world. We try to make logical decisions and logical views based on, you know, the events and the data that we have available to us and what's going on. We try not to take one side or the other immediately. We try to really dissect things and understand what's going on and doing our research, just like we do with our nutrition, just like we do with vetting our friends and family and knowing who we hang around with. We always want to be observing of life and see where things go. Things aren't looking too great at the moment, and we also live in a time in which America is more divided than ever. It is absolutely insane how divided we are, which would probably be a great time to get invaded by another country, wouldn't it? This is kind of just the world we're living in right now, and we have to kind of fend for ourselves and, you know, escape the matrix. You know, one thing you need to take away is, you know, not just about abortion, but you need to stop letting the government influence you to a certain degree, and you need to escape the matrix and escape the control of the government. I really think that they have gone too far with so many things, especially with the last 3 years have shown us. And we need to make these things available, known, and we need to work and make ourselves better. And we also need to get out of this obesity epidemic. So there are so many things that we have to work on in this country to make ourselves a little bit better. But those are some of our thoughts. Maybe we're probably going to do a podcast that goes deeper in length with some special guests in the future and get some more thoughts out. But we wanted to put this video out, you know, share some of our thoughts. So with that said, like, leave a comment with your thoughts on this, you know. Try not to hate too much, which still trying to process all the information that we have available to us and see what happens next. So leave a comment your thoughts on whether you agree or disagree. Hit the like button on the video if you find this valuable. And you can also donate to our Cash App, link in the description. Donate to the channel to get our equipment getting better. And subscribe to the channel if you have not already. And we're going to see you guys in the next video.